With Valentine's Day just around the corner, I find myself wondering about the validity of the holiday. Is it just some hallmark invention intended to boost consumerism? Or is it a real opportunity to acknowledge our loved ones? Does it only exist in those paperbacks at the grocery store? What is romance anyway? Romance is that moment when you look at your partner and you both laugh out loud because you know exactly what the other is thinking. Romance is the child of desire, which grows and matures long after infatuation has died off. Of course, there are as many forms of desire as there are synaptic connections in the brain. Passionate desire is a sustaining combination of emotional, mental, and physical yearning. Ah! Thank you, sir! So how do you inspire desire? Short of jumping dream levels like a car chase from Inception, I'm not sure you can squeeze blood from stone. But if there's a smidgen of attraction, however slight, I do believe it can be coaxed into a robust state.
Give it to me straight, Mac.
You want to know if there's potential between you and your partner? Here are 6 steps that have worked for me. Most of the time. Number 1. Determine the source of attraction by gauging your own desire first. How strong is your desire? In what ways do they turn you on? Depending on the intensity, chances are you mirror and/or balance those things for your partner as well. Or could, potentially. Bad boys and bad girls find a sense of camaraderie in each other. Bad boys and good girls find a sense of balance. Figure out the nature of the attraction and then turn that flickering little flame into a 5-alarm fire.
How the heck am I supposed to do that?
Number 2. Pay attention. Listen. Notice little things nobody else does, especially when they smile. You want those endorphins on your side. Pay particular attention to when they laugh and why they are doing it. Is your partner laughing at the joke or just at your reaction to it? Pay attention to when they wince, frown, bite the inside of their cheek. Ignore the obvious. What comes out of his or her mouth, and go for the jugular. What he or she isn't saying.
What, am I supposed to be a mind reader?
Number 3. Determine motivating factors by taking your own emotions out of the equation. For example, maybe your partner said something that angered or irritated you. Embrace that anger with a smile. Don't let frustration distract you when you're on a hunt. Unwrap that anger like a present. As you tear through each layer, ask questions to get to the truth inside. Did your partner know their statement would irritate you? If they did, why did they want to do it? Do they want your attention? Are they just being playful? Or are they really being bullying and mean? Motivation is often disguised by deflective behavior. Even if the behavior is engaging, it may often point you in the wrong direction. In other words, away from your partner's true desires.
So how do I find the right direction?
Number 4. Determine true desire by embracing dichotomies. People say what they want to hear, and they ask what they want to be asked. If you take what tumbles out of your partner's mouth at face value, you're never going to know what they really mean. Or, dun 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 dun, their true desires. Unless you're me. But even I am guilty of doublespeak on occasion. For example, how many times have you had this conversation?
Hi, honey. How's your day?
Oh, it was fine. Nothing special.
Now, let's take a look at what they really mean.
So, when are you going to ask about my day? I want to unload.
Well, my day sucked per usual. So don't lay your shit on me because I need to sit here and decompress over this article on neuroscience.
Let's return to our example. If irritating you or angering you is motivated by playfulness, then it speaks to how your partner feels seen and nurtured. If one must irritate to be seen, then one must have spent quite a bit of time feeling unacknowledged and unappreciated. Perhaps they had to assert themselves, maybe even kick and scream to get what they deserved. Now, what would an unacknowledged person, willing to kick and scream to get what they want, truly desire at the core of their nature? This would be your partner's primal urge, their most base and instinctual need. Here's a hint. A character's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. Give up. To be held. Affection was probably withheld in childhood. To be seen and acknowledged. Parts of this person were deemed unacceptable. Love was conditional. To be challenged. As a result, they developed a competitive spirit, and more often than not, flattened people in their path. So, now that we know what truly motivates your partner, and thus what they really want, we can set that 5-alarm fire. Ow, shit.
And what if I'm all out of matches?
Number 5, get creative. In other words, romantic. Give your partner what he or she wants, but not all at once. Just enough so that your partner knows they can get what they want if they work for it. Your partner likes a challenge, remember? This is where all that paying attention comes in. What really made her laugh? Why did he bite the inside of his cheek, gnaw on his lip, frown? What inside jokes have you developed together? What things have they voluntarily shared with you? What does your partner do on their own time? Got it? Good. Now find a clever way to slam all of those things together in a grand presentation of, I see you! And I want you. In his book, The Brain in Love, Dr. Raymond would call this embedding yourself in your partner's limbic brain, the part that controls involuntary responses, such as fight or flight, eat or sleep, mood, and libido. Once you induce an emotional response, and your partner physically reacts to that emotion, a release of chemicals will land you right in the sweet spot. And you don't even have to be physically present. For example, I made a sexy board game, even laminated it at Kinko's, combining Star Wars trivia, sexual favors, a taste test, and a drinking game. These were all elements that were specific to our relationship. What is the home planet for R2-D2? Naboo! He didn't like Star Trek. It wouldn't have worked out anyway. Perhaps you'd prefer a crafty idea. For my husband's business trip, I decorated a small box. I cut out a small heart for each day he would be gone. I wrote a personal phrase or word on each heart that I knew he'd remember. And then I stained each heart with my kiss. I put the kisses back in the box, and then I hid the box in his luggage for him to find later. And if that doesn't work, pick a famous song and make up your own lyrics. 'Cause I'm waiting on a Frenchman, don't know if I'll see him again. Babe, I can't say no. Another example, every costume I have worn in this video means something to somebody probably watching it right now. I'm even wearing the pants. The uniqueness of this exchange is what makes it romantic. 1,000 times more so than chocolates or flowers. It tells the other person that you see what makes him or her different, which in turn makes it safe for them to desire and trust you. Incidentally, this exchange is also intimate, which is why it's scary.
But how do I overcome the fear?
Number 6, steel yourself against the 5 fear factors. While it's challenging enough to be honest with yourself about your own desires, it's even more terrifying to be the one putting it out there first. If you're brave enough to be the first one to fold, it's best to steel yourself against these 5 fear factors. Fear factor number 1, be willing to be vulnerable. As I mentioned, true desire is scary. It makes us feel crazy, vulnerable, and out of control. Unlock all the chakras! I've had partners who truly desired me reject me outright because the relationship had become too intense. A lot of people are not comfortable with strong emotions. Repress all the feels! Number 2, absolve yourself of control. Just because someone desires something, or someone, doesn't mean that they're willing to act on it. And sometimes, they shouldn't. You cannot control how other people act on their emotions. Fear factor number 3. Suspend judgment. What someone else wants may be completely different than what you expected. Whether or not you and your partner end up on the same page, it's important to receive what you asked for without judgment. Fear factor number 4. Be willing to walk away. If the object of your desire basks in your attention, but cannot return it in any way, shape, or form, walk away before you become a dried up husk. Fear factor number 5. Sometimes it's just not about you. Maybe the timing's off. The chemistry, it just isn't there. Just because you make a dramatic gesture doesn't mean it's going to work. But if you succeed 1 out of 10 times, those 9 other failures will be well worth it. Rarely do we make our true desires known. Why? It's scary. What happens if you say what you want and you don't get it? Nobody likes to be stung. And that stinging sensation comes from a fear of loss, abandonment, rejection, failure, so forth and so on. Overall, the best advice I can offer is everything in moderation. Avoid a heavy hand or hitting too close to home too early. Now that you have this power, use it wisely. Do not mess around with anyone else's desire unless you intend to sate it and desire them in return. There is a line between being observant and knowledgeable and being an asshole. I highly suggest you don't cross it. Because if experience has taught me anything, it's that karma's a bitch. Now go forth and romance the pants off your partner. And happy Valentine's Day.